Okay, so hello. Here in this video, I'm going to talk about the features of the Buckets Explorer web application that I developed during my thesis in the Master in Data Management and Curation at Data Science Park. So in order to access the Buckets Explorer, we have to log in, and here authentication is provided by Authentic, which is authentication server that allows to have a secure single sign-on authentication. And here we're going to log in with a test user. One important feature is that this allows us to have some governance at login time where this user has already been registered in the Buckets Explorer administration database so that this user is recognized. And the one thing that we can look when we log in is the dashboard, where we have the proposal buckets, which are buckets that come from a research proposal system. And here we have the proposals that this user collaborates in. And we also have here the local buckets, the in-house research buckets that this user is working on. We also have the profile where we show some information about this user, such as the organizational unit, which is the institution where this user works and belongs to. And here, for instance, we can see that in local buckets, this user can create buckets at will and also delete them. And if we click in a local bucket, what we can see is that here there is a file name policy that allows us to enhance the governance step by adding some additional metadata to the file name of the files that are loaded to the system. We can perform some actions over these files, such as downloading a file. We can have a preview of the file and also delete the file. And we can do this for multiple file formats. Something else that we can do here is to show how many users are collaborating within this project, within this bucket. And here we have only 2, and the owner of the bucket here is working with an additional user that only has read-only permissions. And we can even modify that. So here, this other user can be granted now read-write permissions, and he can now also load files in this bucket. And we can also revert back the permissions. We can add more collaborators to this bucket and remove them as well. So here, for instance, something important for the material science community is to be able to visualize Nexus file formats. And we can see something like this for this specific file formats. We can also have some additional documentation provided by the administrator of the web app. Now let's switch to the profile of the other user that we share this bucket with. And here we also have to log in again with Authentic. This is retrieving some additional metadata for the web app. And something we can see for this specific user is that this user has 2 different tenants. A tenant is a collaboration where this user has the permissions to store data. So here, this user collaborates with the other test user in the NFFADI tenant. And here, something else that we can notice in the dashboard of this user is that each user can create their own buckets within the names that they desire. And also this depends, of course, in the specifics that they define when they start their projects. So multiple users can name their buckets with the very same name, but each user owns their own bucket. So here, for instance, this user is the owner of bucket 02 and also has read-only permissions in bucket 02 of another user, which is the bucket that we saw, where we here, for instance, can visualize also other Nexus file. Okay, so here, something that I'm skipping is that within a bucket, we can also leave a bucket if we are the user, the other user that this bucket is being shared with, and we can also delete the entire content of the bucket, provided that the user has only read-write permissions, and here this user cannot load files. We can also here showcase that this user can log in the other tenant, where here this user has no bucket. And another feature of the web app is that we have an admin panel where we can control everything. We can inspect the tenants and the users in these tenants. So here I'm going to use with this administrator account. And here we have some additional features. We can see all the different buckets in the different tenants. We can see the bucket types. We can see the users, the institutional codes, tenants, and what tenants have been activated, because here we can have multiple tenants. And we can have also some documentation files that we can load so that the users can visualize some additional instructions provided by the operators of the Bucket Explorer web app. And we also have some additional features, such as inspecting the file format distribution and how much storage these files are taking in the storage. And here, for instance, we can see that Nexus files are occupying a lot of space. And this is essentially the Bucket Explorer web application and the features that it contains. Thank you very much.